Council, September the 9th, 2024. I'd like to everyone in the audience to please rise for the presentation of the colors. Performing our national anthem is Miss J.C., daughter of Sergeant Joey Belanger.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the hope of the brave?
And now we'll say the pledge. Introduce the pledge.
Ask Butch McSwain to lead us in the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Mr. Mayor, could we give her a hand?
Let's give her, J.C., a hand, please, for a great... Thanks, Chris. Next, I'd like to invite Reverend Daniel Gutierrez from New Life Church of God for an invocation, please, if he'll come forward.
Thank you for the honor of being here. Let's pray. Father God, we're gathered here today to honor you and to pray for every board member and for our mayor, Ronnie Thompson, because they are about to take important decisions for the benefit of our community. We ask you that you give them knowledge and wisdom to do what is right and good for all the people that we live in this wonderful city of Morganton. Remind us that we're your children and that the greatest honor in life is to serve you and honor you with our deeds and sound decisions. We ask you to help us in Christ's sake. Amen. God bless you.
Thank you, Daniel. This time I'd like to introduce council. To my far right, Wendy Cato, Mayor Pro Tem, Chris Jernigan, City Council. I'm your Mayor, Ronnie Thompson, Sally Sandy, our City Manager, Butch McSwain, City Council, Chris Hawkins, City Council, Renee Carswire, our City Clerk, and translating for our deaf community, Ernest Williams IV and Danette Stillman Bridges. Our first order of business is to recognize a retirement. Mr. Louis V. Nye Jr., I'd like to read that retirement resolution. Whereas Louis Ernest V. Nye Jr. was employed by the City of Morganton as City Attorney in the Legal Department on March 15, 2012, and whereas Louis has faithfully served and given of his time and effort for the citizens of the City of Morganton for 12 years and 11 months, and whereas Louis was always willing to participate and provide his knowledge and wisdom to move the city forward, and whereas his contributions and service to the city, particularly in planning, zoning, and economic development, have helped to make Morganton a community of choice, and whereas his wit, wisdom, patience, knowledge, and friendship have made him an incredible treasure to the city staff, the elected officials, and citizens, and whereas Louis V. Nye retired from the City of Morganton as City Attorney in the Legal Department on September 1st, 2024, and whereas the Morganton City Council wishes to officially recognize his contributions and express appreciation for a job well done, now therefore be it resolved by the City of Morganton that the mayor present this resolution to Louis V. Nye, adopted this 9th day of September, 2024. Ronnie Thompson, Mayor, Sally Sandy, City Manager. I need a motion to accept this resolution.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you so much. I'll ask City Manager Sally Sandy to make that presentation. Mr. V. Nye, would you come forward?
So the mayor surprised me and told me I got to do this. I've already gotten through one speech today and I didn't cry. I think he's bound and determined to make me cry.
Amen.
But it is most definitely my honor and my pleasure. See, this is not going to go great. Anyway, to say thank you. And I think the words in here where we talk about your wit, your wisdom, knowledge, friendship, most of all, your patience. It takes a lot of patience to sit in the office next to me, and you've done it for 12 years, almost 13. And we just thank you for the fact that you're just Louis and that you care so much about the community that we call home. And you have made Morganton better for having served with all of us. And that's all I can say.
That's right.
Thank you. Yes, Mayor and Council, as I said earlier today, it's been a tremendous honor and pleasure to work here, to serve the council and the city. It's been exciting. It's been mostly fun and entertaining, and it's been rewarding tremendously. I love the city. I've loved working here, and hope to continue to be part of the community going forward. And you all, I think everyone here knows this, but the city is well led, and it's been a special honor and privilege to work beside Sally and all the others, and the team that's the leadership team, and everybody who's assisting. You have some really wonderful, committed people who work here, who, and I'm not just saying that, they really are good, capable people who want to do better and help their community be better. And I've certainly enjoyed my time here. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Louis. Next on our agenda is public advocacy, and I'm going to call on Mackenzie McGinnis, our Main Street manager, to give us a festival recap, please.
Hello, thank you for having me to give a festival recap. I'm happy to report that we had an awesome year. So the weather couldn't have been more perfect, and that definitely had a big impact on our event. And I'm thankful for it. This was a banner year for rides, so we're happy to see so many children and families out having a great time. It brought me a lot of happiness to my heart. We also had really strong entertainment, and I was happy to see so many people on our square dancing and singing until it closed, and we had people screaming for more as the band was actively breaking down, and I had to break it to them that unfortunately that was it for the night. And we also had solid food sales this year, so we hear you loud and clear that our main complaint was the price of food. We totally understand. While there was a variety of prices and places to eat, the food in general has gone up price-wise, but we see that it is high, and we will take that into account next year when picking our vendors and having conversations with those that we want to come back to make sure it's affordable for everyone that wants to attend our festival. So we're thrilled with the amount of positive feedback in general that we've heard from this year, and from the vendors, from the community, from our staff and our volunteers, just across the board. It's just been so positive, and lots of vendors said this was one of the top 2 most organized festivals they've attended. And we've also received a lot of positive feedback from our merchants downtown that they had record sales this weekend for the festival. So just a big, big thank you to all of our city staff and the city teams. I want to highlight a few of those people and teams. So sanitation did an amazing job the entire festival. I have had comment after comment about how clean our festival was the whole time. It's like you couldn't tell that it was happening as it was happening. Our streets crew that cleaned up after did an amazing job. I had people tell me that they couldn't tell anything had happened the next morning. And I can't say enough about our whole electric team. We didn't have too much trouble this year, and that was due to the great preparation. And even when we did have issues, I would get a call, and I would call Garrett or Blake, and they would say, "I'm already there. It's already handled." And so it was just so easy and fast. To all the HMF staff, our logistics, our playland, stage, food, vendor logistics, hospitality, and merch, our volunteers and students from NCSSM, Patton, and Freedom, thank you. Thank you to everyone. We couldn't have done it without you. I had no clue of the team that I was walking into when I started planning this event. That's gone on for 42 years now. And I was nervous for the logistics of the festival, seeing as I had never attended, more or less planned the event. And when I realized the team I had behind me, that stress definitely released from my shoulders. And once it started going, and I knew that the team, they were not only well prepared and willing to do anything that I asked, they were kind and supportive of me, and it just meant the world. So I'm thankful to have everyone here in the city and our HMF staff. And lastly, I want to thank all of our sponsors, especially UNC Health Blue Ridge. We couldn't do this event without them, and they're all also so wonderful to work with. I'll end with saying that I couldn't be more thankful for this job and these people and this entire community of Morganton. So thank you for allowing us to throw an amazing event, and thank you to everyone who came out to enjoy it.
Mackenzie, I had lots of comments about the entertainment, the music this year. I was a little concerned about some of our city staff, which got excited about dancing and had a great time. But it was the most enthusiasm I'd seen, I don't know, since I've been coming. Everybody was up front. It was just a great time. You did a great job. I think all city council are just really impressed with the job you and the team did, so thank you so much. I want to know if you could give us, though, a recap on Music on the Porch. I've gotten great feedback. A lot of people don't know that we had Music on the
Yes.
Porch. How did that event go?
Music on the Porch went great. We had a great lineup of people, and in a lot of different towns or just places, it's not an organized event. So For Jay to organize the event like this in partnership with the Main Street office, it's a really special thing. And for people, I know I went to the farmer's market and a couple of the locations, and just to see people sitting out in the yards, I mean, it's just a special thing that's going on in Morganton, and that along with all of the other events that we're having. But it was wildly successful. All the music was great, and I saw videos from everywhere, and when I would go, I enjoyed it so much too. So a really great thing that we want to keep on doing, and yeah, overall just a really positive event.
Okay, thanks for all you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
Next on our agenda is a proclamation entitled "A Day to Remember." I'd like to read that proclamation. Whereas the unprovoked attack of September 11, 2001 upon America by foreign terrorists had thrust the United States and other countries into a war it never envisioned, militarily or diplomatically, and whereas America is fully committed to ensuring our freedoms remain unfettered and sovereign for all generations, now and forever, and whereas world opinion needs to remain focused upon the eradication of these inhuman acts perpetrated around the globe, and whereas one way to accomplish it is to never forget those innocent victims did not die in vain, and whereas America must remind the world that the deaths of these people will always be remembered, and they will be forever loved, and whereas an appropriate way to accomplish this is through the annual celebration of their lives, and whereas this commemoration should include the promotion of world peace and goodwill, the demonstration of America's resolve and perseverance, the advancement of responsible citizenship, the encouragement of patriotism and love of country, and whereas the poignant remembrance of those innocent victims who died September 11th as heroes, one and all. Now, therefore, be it resolved, as Mayor and City Council of the City of Morganton, we are issuing this proclamation to memorialize these men, women, and children who lost their lives, and be it further resolved that this proclamation be publicized for all to see and know that the citizens of Morganton remember with eternal respect those whose lives were suddenly, without cause, and pointlessly taken from them on September 11, 2001. May they forever rest in peace and abide in our memories. Ronnie Thompson, Mayor. Renee Carswell, our City Clerk. I would like for Robert Scott, Vice Commander of Barry Chambers, and Jackie Thomas, Commander of American Legion Post 322, to come forward. I ask Chris Hawkins if he'll make that presentation, please.
I'm very humbled to be able to present this proclamation to you. And if I may, I want to reread what this commemoration includes. It says the promotion of global peace and goodwill, the demonstration of America's resolve and perseverance, the advancement of responsible citizenship, the encouragement of patriotism and love of country, and the poignant remembrance of those innocent victims who died September the 11th as heroes, one and all. And that takes on special significance for us here in Burke County as we lost one of our own, Lieutenant Commander Eric Cranford. I know, for one, I'll always remember where I was at that day. I was sitting on an old road at the State Employees Credit Union office when that first plane hit the building, and I'll never forget that. And may we all remember the lives that were lost that day and their families. And it is an honor to present this proclamation to you, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you much. During that particular day, I was traveling to my son's wedding. As we went through D.C., the plane hit. So we had to detour around Philly to get in New Jersey. And I never forget that particular day. My dad, he was 35 years in the military. I stayed too. And it's an honor to be a part of Barry Chambers 322.
Thank y'all so much for your service. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chris. We have another proclamation, Constitution Week. Whereas September 17th, 2024 marks the 237th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorial anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which all commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week, now therefore I, Ronnie Thompson, by virtue and authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Morganton, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd, 2024, as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. In witness thereof, I certify my hand and cause the seal of Morganton to be affixed this 9th day of September. Ronnie Thompson, Mayor Renee Carswell, our city clerk. I need a motion to accept this proclamation.
So moved.
Thank you, Chris. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Butch. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. I'd like for Becca Dennis to come forward and ask Chris Jernigan if he'll make that presentation.
On behalf of the city council and the mayor and the staff, and especially the citizens of Morganton, I present this proclamation as it guarantees our freedoms and as the Constitution guarantees our freedoms. And this proclamation helps us better understand how important it is, the most important document we have in our country. I hope that we will all take time to honor it and remember the freedoms that it guarantees to all people of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. May I say a few words?
Please.
My name is Rebecca Dennis of the Quaker Meadows chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution. I would like to read for a proclamation from former President Dwight D. Eisenhower. He said, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." On September 17, 1787, the delegates to the Federal Convention in Philadelphia met for the last time and approved these familiar words, now enshrined not only in our nation's basic instrument of government, but also in the hearts of our citizenry. Led by the President of the Convention, George Washington, the great majority of the delegates signed the newly drafted Constitution, and on the following day, their secretary set off for New York by stagecoach to deliver the engrossed document to the United States and Congress there assembled. Within a week, the proposed Constitution had been printed and circulated in both Pennsylvania and New York, and the great principles by which our country still is governed had been dispatched or carried home by delegates from other states as well. On September 28, 1787, the Congress resolved to transmit the draft text officially to the states of the Confederation for action. It is fitting that we, whose entire lives have been protected by the fruits of the Convention's deliberations, should pause in our several occupations to study the course of events by which our Constitution came into being, the great debate which ensued before our federal government became established, and the internal stresses and the assaults from without which we as a nation have met successfully with God's help, within the framework established by our forebears 168 years ago, now 237 years ago. Dwight D. Eisenhower agreed on July 26, 1955, to designate Constitution Week, the period beginning September 17th and ending September 23rd. And as he once did, I now invite all of you to help us celebrate Constitution Week with appropriate ceremonies in our schools and churches and other suitable places, and also by ringing a bell on September 17th at 4 o'clock. As President Eisenhower said, "Let us give thanks for the wisdom of those statesmen of 1787 who labored to decide the fate of Republican government and of their successors throughout our country's history, who contributed to making our Constitution a living thing, a great taproot to feed and support the growth of our republic." I do have bells for each of you. Would that be okay?
Oh, sure. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Becca, so much. That may be a problem giving a bell to this group, I'm sorry. But we will remember that on September 17th. We now have another day of recognition, National POW MIA Recognition Day. Whereas on September 20th, 2024, we remember the more than 500,000 prisoners of war, the thousands of our patriots still missing in action, and their families. And whereas our nation commemorates their bravery and their faithful service, proudly defending American ideals through extreme hardship, and whereas the phrase, quote, "you are not forgotten," end quote, is a reminder of our duty to leave no American behind. Now therefore, I, Ronnie Thompson, to virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Morganton, do hereby proclaim September 20th, 24 as National POW MIA Recognition Day, and ask our citizens to renew their commitment to bring answers and closures to the loved ones of those missing in action, never forgetting to honor those who have so courageously earned our highest regard, our missing service men and women. In witness thereof, set my hand and cause the seal of Morganton to be affixed this 9th day of September 2024. Ronnie Thompson, Mayor. I'll ask Butch if you will present that, please, to Mr. Commander Bobby Ledford, if he'll come forward. And I believe you have Pat Branch with you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, please come forward.
Pat is commander of the DAVA.
Okay.
Commander Branch, Commander Ledford, thank you very much. This is particularly meaningful to me.
Yes, sir.
I know that we've had POWs and MIA in every war we've had. But my period of time during Vietnam was especially meaningful to me. I have a high school buddy who has not been repatriated yet, so he is still listed as an MIA. But, this long, we pretty well know what that means. I am honored to present this to you, and I don't know which of you want it, but thank you very much for your service, but also for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to say
Bobby?
a few words.
Yeah, please.
Please.
Okay. This is an honor for me. We can never do enough for the families and the men that are POWs and MIAs. No matter how hard we try, there's always more that we can do because they have loved ones that have lost, and that's most important to me. At the DAV, we go all out to support our veterans. We go after hours. Doors are closed, we still continue. We always are continuing to help our veterans in action. We do a lot for them. I'm not going to go into what all we do. We did have a lot to do with the memorial that is on the county courthouse square. And we're very proud of that, and we're very thankful that the city council was a member and part of that. And it's honorable, it's very honorable. And I've heard a lot of people say how pretty that thing was, and it's always going to be there. And it's in a very sacred place. And I commend and I thank all of you for helping that to be possible. And, like I said, we will cherish this, we will hang it up in our chapter, and it'll always be honored. And we'll always honor the families and the members of the POWs and the MIAs and all the Timbermen, all the servicemen and women, because we all gave a lot and we all lost a lot. Amen?
Thank you, Bobby.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I'd like to add one more thing. Along the lines of that, there are a lot of services now when remains are brought back, the repatriation events. And if you ever see one done and have an opportunity to go, do.
We'll continue with that, sir.
Yeah,
We're going to have a ceremony Saturday the 21st, and it's going to be a POW MIA ceremony. And it will be at chapter 43. I forgot that, but that's one thing that's coming up. And we went out, we planned a lot for this, and there's going to be a little bit of reception after that. But everybody's welcome to come and witness this ceremony. It is a real sacred ceremony, and it's going to be in full done. It's going to be done correctly. All right? 11 a.m. Saturday morning on the 21st. 12. That's my good target. It's 12 o'clock. You did, Charlie.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, sir.
Next on our agenda is presentation of grant funds by Molded Fiberglass Foundation and Molded Fiberglass of New York. Sally?
So I believe Jason and Public Safety's coming forward to receive a very generous donation to help us purchase some public safety equipment.
And I believe we have Dan Langer here. Dan, if you'll come forward.
Molded Fiberglass Foundation has been just a really fantastic partner in the community and with public safety as well. This is a second grant that our agency is asking City Council to approve and accept. And with this generous donation, what we plan on doing is expand our service of swift water rescue in the Catawba River along our greenway. And so we're really excited about doing that. And of course, that equipment is not free. We wish it were. However, in light of that, Molded Fiberglass Foundation has given us a very generous donation to kickstart that program. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dan Langer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Like you said, my name's Dan. I'm the Environmental Health and Safety Manager at Molded Fiberglass. And on behalf of the Molded Fiberglass Foundation, we'd like to demonstrate our appreciation and our support of the public safety services. So you may have heard, like Director said, they're expanding their services to provide water rescue to all of us in the community, everyone who enjoys the waterways around the city limits. So I'm here to present a check on behalf of the foundation for $10,525.35 to equip the responders with the proper helmets for use during these rescue operations. And in addition, those funds are available to provide mobile command and control devices, which will be used to manage and prepare for their emergency incidents. At MFG, safety is our greatest priority. Our foundation would like our responders to be best equipped to remain safe, and we hope that this donation serves our entire community well. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I need a motion.
Oh, let me make the motion to approve a budget amendment in the amount of $10,525.35 to accept a restricted contribution from the Molded Fiberglass Foundation to Morganton Public Safety for the purchase of personal protective equipment for firefighters offering water rescue services, and for devices and control software for administrative vehicles providing command while managing emergency incidents within the city limits of Morganton.
Thank you, Butch. Have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Dan, thank you so much from the foundation. Next on our agenda, call on Russ Shearer, our Director of Human Resources, for some recognition of safety awards. Russ?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Each year, the Department of Labor recognizes organizations that do an outstanding job with employee safety. And this year, 10 of our divisions have received awards. 9 of those are gold awards, which is awarded to organizations that have missed days from work and light duty restriction days that are less than half of the industry average. And the city of Morganton has 10 of those, and those include the comma, where did it come up, Sharon? In the Public Works Department, the Streets Department has a gold award for 1 year, and the Cemetery and Grounds for 2 consecutive years as well. The Water Resources Department, the Water Distribution Plant has a gold award for their 3rd consecutive year, Wastewater Plant for their 2nd consecutive year, and the Water Distribution Team for their 2nd consecutive year as well. There's all yours. All right. And the Electric Department has received the gold award as well for their 1st year. In addition, administrative offices have received it for their 11th consecutive year. And we have 2 divisions that also received the gold award for 10 consecutive years with Development and Design, and then the Community House and Main Street as well. Those plaques are yet to be completed from the Department of Labor, so we're still waiting on those. And Recreation received a silver award for having lost days less than 50% of the industry average as well. These awards are a testament of the diligence of our employees, of our supervisors, and the directors to keep safety a priority every day. I thank the staff and the directors for keeping that in front and making it just a part of the way that we do business here. Thank you.
Janelle, if you want to go over, get them while they're lined up, that may be a good idea. Russ, thank you so much.
And Mark Todd is he? After cities. Representative.
Should I call him out?
As soon as she does.
Call him now. I'd like to call Mark Todd forward to make a presentation, please. Mark is with the Senior Safety and Training Specialist for Electric Cities, I believe.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm a safety and training specialist with Electric Cities, and basically I help teach linemen. And it is my privilege. The city of Morganton is one of my cities that I take care of. I'm also responsible for completing the OSHA 300 logs. Any company or municipality that has 11 or more employees are required to file any lost workday cases due to an accident and an injury or fatality. So we take this opportunity at Electric Cities to recognize those municipalities that have completed the previous year with no lost workday cases due to an injury. And I told Brooks when I came in, I said, I got my safety manual here with me, and I'm going to try to stay facing forward because I've got these monitors, but when I'm talking to a group, usually I'm all through the room. I said, I'm not going to read from this safety manual, but I can take this manual and pretty much quote it from front to back. But there's not a single rule in this manual that will keep any one of us safe. Safety is an action. And this award was received by an action. And I'm not just going to, this goes to the electric department. These individuals work in an environment to where every move that they make, if they touch the wrong thing at the wrong time, it's pretty much over. But I've told Brooks this, and I've told all the guys that work in the electric department. Our things that we value can be taken away from us so quickly. And I said, we don't follow the safety rules because of fear of getting in trouble. We follow the safety rules to protect those things that are valuable to us. So it is my privilege and my honor if I would ask Brooks to come to present this, simply because when accidents happen at the house, who gets the bill? But when accidents happen on the job, who gets the bill? This is huge. And this is what happens when we have a group of people that make a commitment to safety. Brooks?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Daniel, thank you so much. And Brooks, thanks for all you do in our electric department. Next on our agenda is our upcoming events, Art in the Hall in August and September. Stephen Fox with his digital art. It's digital art and it's very unique. Coffee with a Cop will be Wednesday, October the 2nd from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Crafted. Our farmers market will be Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 111 North Green Street. Saturday on 8 to noon at 300 Beach Street. Our third Thursday art crawl will be Thursday, September 19th from 4 to 7 in downtown Morganton. Our Performing Arts Center tickets are on sale. I'd like to mention that on Friday, September 27th at 7:30, 1980s MTV experience is going to happen. The people who enjoyed the Friday and Saturday night at the festival, this is the same type of music that's going to be featured. Also on October the 5th, Dina Carter will be here. I don't know that we have a meeting before that date. October the 5th. Some of you may remember her famous song, Strawberry Wine. The other one I like is entitled, Did I Shave My Legs for This? So you may want to catch that performance on October the 5th. You think I'm kidding? Look it up on YouTube, please. It is a funny video. Okay, a little more serious stuff. Parks and Recreation, Plow Days is Friday and Saturday, October 4th and 5th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., sponsored by the Valley Hills Antique Power Club at Catawba Meadows. This is a free event. It's Spooky Meadows, Friday, October the 18th and Saturday, October 19th from 7 to 10 each night at Catawba Meadows. Our next item on the agenda is the North Carolina Municipal Power Update. Sally?
Yes, we'd just like to notify the council that elections for the Municipal Power Agency will be held in November.
Thank you so much. We have a consent agenda consisting of 6 items. Sally, would you cover those for us?
Be glad to. We consider those items to be non-controversial. Would ask that you do those in a single motion unless somebody wants an item removed and discussed separately. And for those viewing at home, the items are minutes from the August 5th council meeting, budget amendment accepting money into the water fund, $285,000. This is from the agreement that we had with Burke County for some of the monies collected over several years. We're reinvesting that in the system. And then $150,000, the same money, this is in the sewer fund, and those will be used to make improvements in the water and sewer fund. A budget amendment to accept a restricted contribution of $25,000 from the Morganton Recreation Foundation, and that will be used toward the construction of the mountain bike trail at Catawba Meadows. And then award of a contract for resurfacing of the basketball courts at Freedom Park. That's in the amount of not to exceed $18,600, and that is to Wayland Tennis. That is also included in our budget for this year, and it is using ARPA monies. So we are winding down the ARPA monies. And then award of a contract to Gallagher Management Group for new roof at the administrative building at the wastewater treatment plant in an amount for this contract not to exceed $128,843.
Do any members of council wish to have any items removed from the consent agenda? Sally, one question. ARPA money has to be spent by?
December of 2026. It has to be awarded and contracted for by December of 2024.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? Nope. Butch, did you have a comment?
No.
Okay. The motion passes.
For record, I'll make a motion to.
And then I will second.
Okay, thank you, Chris. The ARPA money's got me excited. We need to get it all spent. Okay, Chris made a motion. Butch has seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you, we're on track. Under new business. Our first item of business is the adoption of Imagine 2040 Comprehensive Plan. I'll call on our planner, Wendy Smith, please, for consideration and discussion.
Thank you. This, for those of you that have been around for a bit, will know this plan has been around for a little bit. Almost 2 years now, at least, that we've embarked on starting to get a consultant and then awarding the contract and carrying out the community engagement and the remainder of the development of the plan. So we're very excited to be able to present that final completed document to you tonight. I will let Jonathan Whitehurst from Kimley Horn, who's our consultants on the project, describe that, what was in the plan a little bit more, but I just wanted to take a couple of minutes before he does to say a few words about the plan and to give a few thanks as well. I am very proud as the director of the department of the plan that we produce. I think it sets an honorable vision for our city going into the next 15 years. It is the Imagine Morganton 2040 plan, and we're looking at that plan to guide the development of the city and the direction of the city for the next 15 or so years. There's a set of vision that we can all be striving toward. It's based on sound planning principles with good guidance for development moving forward. I'm most pleased with the action steps in the back of the plan that give us a path forward, a set of tangible actions, so it's not just going to be a document we spend all this time and money on and put it on a shelf that nobody is ever going to take down and look at again. It gives us a pathway forward so that we can have identified steps to keep on track to make sure that we are working towards this vision. And it does include suggestions to review that vision periodically throughout those 15 years to make sure that is still the vision set by the community. Jonathan will tell you more about the community input, but I want to end my remarks by taking a moment to say thank you to a few different groups of people. Firstly, to the City Council, who was very, very involved in the process. I think Jonathan said at one point, sometimes they do plans that they never even meet the City Council members until the adoption day, and that was very much not the case here. From the very first day that we started with the consultants and officially opened the plan process, the City Council was very much involved in that process throughout, as was our Planning and Zoning Commission, who met several times in joint workshops with the City Council and with the public. We had a core leadership team from the city that worked on this project, consisting of myself as the director, our city manager, Sally Sandy, our unfortunately now former city attorney, Louis Benai, our development and design admin manager, Jackie Kane, and our one of our development design project managers, Michael Burley. And I could not have produced this plan without that group of people assisting us throughout the year and a half, 2 years that it has been in our department. We had an advisory committee made up of Morganton citizens, of almost 30 people who committed their time and efforts to attend multiple workshops, taking time off work during the day to come to that. Susan Burley, one of our co-chairs, is here tonight, as are a few other members of the committee. For the first time, we had 3 high school students on the committee representing each one of the high schools here to be able to give that vision, because they're the ones that are also going to grow into using this plan. So very, very pleased with the commitment there from the public. We had several focus groups of involved community members and industry leaders that gave us their perspective and expertise on the development of Morganton and what they saw as the issues and the concerns going forward. And then finally, the community as a whole. It is an amazing amount of input, well above what you would typically expect to be produced for a plan of this nature. Thousands of comments, literally thousands of comments received from people that live, work, play in our city here. Just, again, I'll let John, I don't want to steal Jonathan's presentation with the specific numbers, but really, I'm most pleased that in working with this plan over the next 15 years, I and my staff will be able to say that it is truly the community's plan, that this is their vision that they've set for the community by being able to point to those numbers about the amount of input. This is definitely not something that our development design came up with just on our own, but it's working with the community and basing it and going back to those sound planning principles so that we have a strong foundation on which to build the next steps. Watch the space. We're going to give you a bit of breathing room, and then we're going to embark on looking at our zoning ordinance as one of those first action steps that the plan calls for. But I will turn you over to Jonathan, who has a presentation to explain a bit more and remind you a bit about what we've discussed over the last several months that the plan entails.
John, welcome.
Thank you. Good to see familiar faces. And honestly, I feel like I could sit right back down because she did such a good job of picking this up. I will reiterate one thing. It is true that a couple of things aren't a given when you step into a process like this. One, as she said, it's not a given that City Council will take an active role in this process. It's true that the Planning Board or the Planning and Zoning Commission doesn't take an active role until it's before the adoption process. It's true that it's not often that we have such committed staff that will take an interest in this type of process. And it's even more true that the staff doesn't have the number of years under their belt in the community with which they represent. And I think that was truly remarkable here and certainly has its fingerprints on this process. I join Wendy in thanking the advisory committee for their participation in this process. Not only did they come to meetings, but we put them to task to do some homework, to do some reading, to take surveys, to get out into the community and promote this plan. And so their participation was certainly appreciated. So I'll just jump in and very quickly kind of go through this process. We'll start with the next slide. We are seeking adoption here, and that's important for two very big reasons. One, it's the final step in the Imagine Morganton 2040 process, but it's the first step toward implementation. And so we're very pleased with what brought us to this point, but I think we're just as pleased with what's to come in Morganton. So on the next slide, Wendy mentioned that we're about a year and a half into this process. We split it up into three phases where we let the community dream a little bit. There at the beginning, there was quite a few conversations that occurred in that first phase. Then we rolled up our sleeves and got to work developing the plan. Once we got the framework of that plan in place, we stepped into that third phase, which was actually putting the narrative around the document, getting us to adoption, and ultimately that third phase continues into the future. That's why it's ACT. We really want, from the very first day, it was impressed upon us that this has to be a plan that's not going to sit on the shelf, that it has specific actions that folks can take forward. The engagement that you see there across the bottom, quite a few conversations, digital engagement, the pop-up events at the Morganton Festival, all of these things kind of contributed to making this the plan for Morganton. On the next slide, we talk about kind of asking those stakeholders in the community to co-create, and that word co-create really is important because at the end of the day, I'm an out-of-towner. I'm not too far out of town. I live in Lincoln County, but that's far enough, I think, for a lot of you to say you're not from here. And so it was really important to make sure that we drew in the voices into this process to really represent what it truly means to be from Morganton and to be invested in this community. A variety of ways to involve people in this process, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of competition for people's time and for their interest, and so we wanted to make it comfortable and easy for them to engage in the process. And on the next slide, the proof is in the numbers. Wendy kind of mentioned that 750 folks who attended a meeting or participated in a workshop or completed a survey. That doesn't even include the folks that just had eyes on the website or that we chatted with very briefly at one of the pop-up events. These are the people that we could actually count. Thousands, 22,000 individual data points, 3,000 plus comments, which is a lot of comments. I can attest to that. But I think of everything that's on this slide, what I'm most proud of is the 1,100 hours invested in this process. You think about the amount of time that the people who kind of just stepped into the conversation about the future of Morganton, they invested a lot of time, a lot of interest, a lot of enthusiasm in this process, and hopefully the fingerprints of that participation is throughout this plan. So on the next slide, the plan itself is organized around the future land use map. And so we took a very purposeful path to that future land use map. It started with community characteristics, so just trying to understand at a moment in time, in this case it was May or June of 2023, what is Morganton? Where is it trending? And so that was represented in the community characteristics. From that, we layered the vision and planning principles from the many community conversations that we had, and that ultimately gave us kind of this conceptual growth strategy, this framework for where we were going to go with the future land use strategy in Morganton. And that is embodied in the future land use map. And so you can see that on the next slide, that the future land use strategy is organized around these 10 place types or land use classifications. And that's our way of kind of communicating not just the land use, but what does that place look like? What is the sense of place? What is the transportation characteristics in all of these places throughout the community? So on the next slide, when you actually see the map, it's more than just this is where our residential areas are going to be. It's talking about what the look, the feel, the sense of place is, not just for downtown, not just for the existing neighborhoods, but for your commercial corridors, for your mixed-use nodes, for your institutional centers. And so hopefully you all have had time to invest in that. Now, the policy framework, we knew that we couldn't stop short at that future land use map, that we had to wrap around that map a strategy of plans, policies, programs, and projects. Those are organized around the 8 planning principles. So you can see those on the slide. 17 strategies organized around those 8 planning principles, and ultimately 63 actions. I will say that when we put those actions to the test of who's going to lead those, and we put it in a spreadsheet, and I think I called Wendy, and I said, uh-oh, we've created a lot of actions for you. And to her credit, she didn't shy away from that. She said, let's go for it. And so you can kind of see the way that is kind of described on the next slide. So for each of those 63 actions, we're telling you what type of action it is, what is the time frame, is this something that we need to initiate immediately, or do we have a little bit of time? Is this something that we do one time and we cross it off the list, or is it something that is going to just be recurring throughout the process? A lot of responsibilities are shared in the implementation of these 63 actions. We also know that there is a limited amount of resources that the city has at its disposal, and those resources are both the money that it can spend implementing some of these projects or some of these actions, but also the amount of time that staff has to invest in this process. And so our sensitivity to those limited resources are expressed in terms of how high, medium, or low, relatively speaking, those resources are. We also, at one of our public workshops, I think over in that area, we had the first draft of all of these actions, and we asked the community, tell us which ones of these are most important to you. So on those pages in the report, anytime you see one of those bullseyes, that was a notice to us that the community said this is a priority for them. So with that, we're, again, very pleased with how this whole process unfolded. It's a bittersweet moment for me. I keep saying this has been my favorite project. This has been my favorite place to work, and there's a lot of truth to that. So with that, I'll welcome any questions that you all have.
Any questions from council? Wendy?
When will this plan be available to the people who have given comments, who have been to the workshops and things?
Yep, the plan is on the project website, and so it's already there, and as soon as we hopefully get adoption tonight, we'll make, one more update to that and put that final plan there for everybody to look at.
It's currently on the city website under the news section. So on the first page of the city website, there's always three news items. And for the last year and a half, Janelle has maintained the comp plan as one of those 3 items. So you can go there and see the plan at the moment.
Other questions? Okay, what's the wish of council?
Make a motion to adopt the Imagine Morganton 2040 Comprehensive Plan.
Thank you, Chris. I have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Wendy. Further discussion. Butch?
It's
Okay.
a tremendous development of this plan. It's been really educational to watch and participate in, because we have.
It's been a pleasure working with you as well.
Yeah, it sure has.
Absolutely.
So come back on weekends.
I bring my daughter to the park. We like to ride our bikes on the Greenway, so.
Thank you so
If you
much.
follow this, we might have more housing, you could move.
There you go. You'll have to, we'll have to get my wife on board for moving again, but happy to do that.
Okay, no further discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Jonathan, thank you. Wendy, thank you so much for hours and hours,
Yes.
weeks and weeks, months and months.
And this happened as soon as she was hired. jumped into this.
It did, and it's been a great process, and the community came out and participated, which our community is really good at doing.
Yes.
And we appreciate that, and a pleasure to work with you, Jonathan.
Okay. Next on our agenda is consideration of approval of an ordinance amendment to the speed limit on certain city streets. I'll call on Chief to please come forward and give us some information.
Yes, good evening, council. Through various discussions over the past several months, including with the Huffmans there on Bristol Street, regarding the speed limits and speeding of vehicles in different streets throughout Morganton, we stepped back and to take a look at that for a minute and really evaluate whether or not that speed limit needs to be changed. And so as an informational purpose, as you go into any incorporated municipality in the state of North Carolina, right as you enter into the right in the city limits, there's a sign that states the speed limit is 35 miles per hour unless otherwise posted. And so this is exactly what this is. This is an otherwise posted ask that we are bringing before City Council tonight. And so part of this ask reviews a lot of time evaluating 16 streets that you have before you. That part of that evaluation is based on, is the street wide enough? Is it long enough? And what are the characteristics of that street that could potentially make a 35 mile per hour zone while low, dangerous traveling at 35 miles per hour. And so staff recommends and speed surveys all indicate that lowering of the speed limit on these 16 streets is recommended to 25 miles per hour.
What's the wish of council?
I'll make a motion to approve an ordinance amendment changing the speed limit to 25 miles per hour on the following residential streets: Bristol Street, North Street, Park Street, Sharon Street, Dogwood Drive, Smoke Rise Drive, Patton Street, Ann Street, Falls Street, Harris Drive, Cedar Street, Forest Hill Street, Colony Drive, Greenbrier Lane, Edgewood Avenue, and Bullock Place.
Thank you, Chris. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Wendy and Butch, okay. Any discussion?
I have one question.
Go ahead.
Jason, what would it take to have, if someone wanted to have their street considered and evaluated to have the speed limit reduced from 35?
Yes, sir, Councilman Hawkins. So really that is a process through which any of the citizens that I've spoken with, development design has spoken with, it is a process. And the first thing that you have to do as a citizen is to reach out to city staff, to reach out to Public Safety Department and Development Design and let us know that you're concerned about the speed and that, or even a stop sign intersection as we're going to come to next. But that's the first step, is to reach out, let us take a look at it, let us conduct a speed survey. We have equipment to do that, to actually see how fast cars are going.
Thank you.
Jason, when will the signs be posted? Okay.
I think we have to order those. The cost of those signs is approximately $150 each. And then we got to install them, of course.
Okay.
So Michael, we'll order them, and then we'll get them up as soon as we can.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? Have a motion. I think we've had the discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Jason. But don't leave. We've got consideration of an ordinance to change the intersection on Moorhead Street in Irvin from a two-way stop sign to a four-way stop sign. Give us some information, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. So again, this is one of those where we have received reports, citizens concerned about the speed on Moorhead Street, and we've been receiving complaints for some time. And been receiving those complaints, Public Safety has logged hundreds of hours of speed enforcement through there in an effort to calm that traffic down. And so clearly, it is a throughway for motorists to get to Mountain View Elementary School, as the log of vehicles in the thousands traveling on Moorhead Street. And so clearly there's not that many residents on Moorhead Street that they're traveling to a destination, and we believe that to be Mountain View Elementary School. And so the Traffic Committee's evaluation primarily focused on the nature of Moorhead Street being used as that cut through to Mountain View. The characteristics of Moorhead Street, if you've been down there, it's fairly wide. There's curbing along, and it is very straight in some areas, until, of course, you get into blind spots. And so the propensity to travel well above the posted speed limit on Moorhead Street is there. And even in spite of our best efforts to calm that down, issuing citations and traffic stops, we're asking council to consider a four-way stop at the intersection of Irwin and Moorhead Street in an effort to further calm traffic down.
Thank you. What's the wish of council?
Make a motion to adopt an ordinance for conversion of the intersection of Moorhead Street and Irvin Street from a two-way stop sign intersection to a four-way stop sign intersection.
Thank you, Chris. I have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Mr. Mayor, if I may also, that as with both of these changes that council has approved, we'll be conducting an educational campaign to let citizenry know that the speed limit has in fact dropped, and that also that there is a four-way stop sign at this intersection. We don't anticipate issuing citations at midnight on the following day. However, we will be conducting an increase in traffic stops and those educational conversations with motors to let them know that these changes are here, and that's the fair thing to do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason.
Next on our agenda is consideration of approval of amendment to the Morganton City Council's extra ETJ limits. Call on Wendy Smith one more time.
Thank you. So the city's current ETJ limits were set with the adoption of the previous zoning ordinance in 2015. So they came into effect January 1st, 2015, and that was quite a reduction of our boundaries at that time period. And there is one property on Highway 18. It is 796 Lenore Road, but it is just to the north of Catawba Valley Baptist Church, if you guys know where that is. And when we set the boundary originally, that entire property was outside of the ETJ. Since that time period, that property has had a couple of boundary adjustments where it essentially appears that they received some land from Catawba Valley to create their driveway in a manner that would be acceptable to NCDOT, and that took some of the church's property to this. It's approximately 5,000 square feet. But what that means is the property now sits partly in the county and partly in our ETJ for jurisdiction of things such as zoning, our stormwater ordinances, our watershed ordinances, and so forth. So that property now has a tree services business that's located on it. They're doing some more development, and then that causes them to have to go to two different agencies to get approval over this roughly 5,000 square feet that's in our jurisdiction. So we have proposed that we go back to the original plan for that property to be fully outside of our ETJ and reduce it by about that 5,000 square feet.
So we're kicking them out, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, we kicked them out originally. They came back in.
They came back?
We're gonna kick them out again.
Okay.
Just letting them go.
What's the wish of council?
Motion to approve an amendment to the City of Morganton's ETJ boundary to the property line between 706 Lenore Road and 796 Lenore Road, such that 796 Lenore Road is entirely out of the city ETJ boundary.
Thank you, Wendy. I have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Wendy, thank you so much. Consideration of a resolution to accept funding from the State Water Infrastructure, SWIA, for lead service line replacement. Sally, will you cover that, please?
Yes, I will. So in June, you allowed city staff to apply for some zero-interest loan money from DEQ, from the State Drinking Water Group, State Water Infrastructure Group. And that is to do an inventory of any lead water lines that we still have, to identify those and to rate them, and then ultimately to seek funding to replace them. We have been notified that we have been funded, and we are funded in an amount of $450,000. And the next step in the process is for you to approve us accepting the money contingent upon local government commission approval. And if we can do that tonight, then we will move forward to being able to tap into these funds and to do the work.
What's the wish of council?
I'll make the motion, though I prefer a grant to a loan, but I'll make the motion to approve a resolution accepting funding in the amount of $450,000 from the DWSRF BIL Lead Service Line Replacement Funds for lead service line replacement projects contingent upon LGC approval. And that was lead, not lead.
Thank you, Butch. I have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Wendy. Any discussion?
It is 0%, but so that is. a
Yeah,
little
that's
bit
right.
better.
That-
You know,
that
on the
is different.
grant instead of the loan, but no interest.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
did
Next on
wanna
our
beat him to
agenda
the
is approval of budget amendment to accept insurance reimbursement for the generator at the water plant. Sally?
So this is good news, bad news. The bad news, which we've already lived through, is that there was an explosion and a fire in the generator cabinet at the water plant some months ago. We have recovered from that, done a workaround, and now we're going to take steps to get a new generator. They are hard to come by, but we do think we have found one. That is also a miracle. The insurance company is going to reimburse us $1,300,010.50. And the cost to replace it is about $5,000 more than that, which will come out of our water funding for this year.
What's the wish of council?
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to make a motion to approve a budget amendment accepting an insurance reimbursement in the amount of $1,300,010.50 for the damage to the water treatment plant generator.
Thank you, Chris. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Thank you,
You
Butch.
don't get to have all the fun.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. You too. Okay. Next is consideration of award of a contract for GIS utility network implementation. Sally?
Yes. So this is a project that we have been working on in the electric department and issued formal requests for proposals for this. It is basically an upgrade to our GIS network that we use for mapping our electric distribution system and all the components in that. The RFP was issued and we received 3 responses. 2 of those were responsive, 1 of those was incomplete. Avenion Inc. was the company that submitted the lowest one, $609,050. It was outside of our budget that we approved for this project. So staff negotiated with them, and after looking and reducing the scope of the project, asking you to award a contract in an amount not to exceed $500,000, and authorizing the mayor and the manager to execute those contracts.
What's the wish of council?
I will make a motion to award a contract with Avion. Help me out there.
Avenion.
Avenion, thank you.
How I believe it's
Avenion
said.
Incorporated to perform the work associated with the electric system data collection and migration to a new GIS utility network model in the amount not to exceed $500,000 and to authorize the mayor and her city manager to execute such contract and any other documents.
Thank you, Chris. I have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, I need another motion, please.
Motion to go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes, Section 143-318.11, to discuss personnel matters.
I have a motion to go into closed session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chris. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And for the press, there will be no action taken after the closed session.
Okay.